This is the Happy Families podcast. My name's Dr. Justin Coulson. Our children seem to just expect that we're going to know what to do, that we can help them, that we can guide them, that we've got the magic words every time something goes wrong. And as parents, we often feel like we're not quite sure what to say. And yet there's the expectation, the need to fix everything and get it right. That's what we're talking about today with I'll Do Better Tomorrow on the Happy Families podcast. Plus, one of the most major milestones nobody ever talks about. We hit it this week, and I can't wait to tell you what it was and what we did. Stay with us. Hello and welcome to the Happy Families podcast, real parenting solutions every day. This is Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We are Justin and Kylie Coulson. Kylie, every Friday, you and I have a chat about the week that was, the stuff that worked, the stuff that didn't, with the hope that we can be inspirational in some way, shape or form to help families to be happier. Before we do, though, you had a funny conversation that you wanted to talk about on today's pod about a young man and a telephone, and I think that we should start there.
I think nearly every conversation I have with any parent ends up or starts with a conversation around mobile phones.
Oh, kids and screens.
This is just so tricky for parents to navigate.
Doing my head in. Yeah.
But the other day I was chatting with one of my girlfriends and she mentioned that she had caught up with some friends. They're part of a really great surfing community here on the Sunshine Coast. And they had acknowledged that as a group of parents, collectively, they've made a pact with one another that they are not going to buy their kids a mobile phone when they go into high school.
That's the way to do it. You've got to build the community. Otherwise, the kids are like, oh, everyone else can do it. You've got to have the community.
Well, my friend's not part of that community. It's her friends who are part of the community. And she was like, oh, good luck to you. Like, I so hope that you can do this because it is just so hard.
Totally.
And then as the conversation continued, it was telling me that her youngest son had been pestering them to get a mobile phone because he has two older sisters who, when they started high school,
they got the phone.
They got a phone because they were catching a bus and mum and dad wanted to make sure they were safe.
I've just got to put this out there. It's not a rite of passage to go to high school and therefore get a phone. At least wait until 8th grade, 9th grade, something like that. You don't have to give your kids a phone just because they're going to high school and just because everyone else apparently is doing it, because they're not.
Well, they decided that they'd learnt their lesson and they were not bending the rules this time.
Smart parents.
They were going to withhold that privilege for as long as they could. And so her son kept badgering her and telling her that he was the only kid in the class that didn't have a mobile phone, and she was feeling so bad and really, really pressured. But she also knew that there was one other kid in the class, and she'd spoken to the parents and they were on the same page and they had decided they weren't giving their son a mobile phone. And she said, well, what about so-and-so? And he said, oh, no, he's got one. And she's like, no way. There is no way he's got one. Well, she bumped into his mum a few days later and she was like, oh, my son tells me that your son's got a phone. And she said, yeah, because my son told me that your son's got one.
No.
They just totally worked their parents.
This is what they do. They're like, well, let's talk about stuff and just make sure that our parents don't talk and we'll be fine.
She literally looked at her and she said, no, we talked about this. I'm not getting my son a phone. So now he is the only kid in the class who doesn't have one.
Oh, so they didn't take the phone off them. Wow. You didn't tell me the punchline when you were telling me the story the other day. All right, so here's the deal.
This is just such tricky stuff.
I mean, the conversation that we had on Wednesday with Dr. Brad Marshall about the impact of phones on every aspect of kids' lives. If you haven't listened to that chat, I think it's one of the best interviews we've ever done on the Happy Families podcast. Definitely worth a listen. Wednesday's conversation with Dr. Brad Marshall. So glad you shared that story. Build the community, build the community, build the community. In a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be on the border of New South Wales and Victoria at a spot called Moama. I'm so sorry to everyone living in Moama who's listening right now because they've got a phone pledge event happening. They're trying to get the entire community on board with this, and that is the way to do it. Anyway, I'll Do Better Tomorrow is not meant to be about other people's stories. It's meant to be about our stories. Last week, our kids listen to the podcast. I didn't know this. They listen independently on their own phones to this podcast. And we got in trouble because we didn't tell enough stories. We made it all about us and about reviews that have come through. Oh, by the way, I'm not going to read them, but we got a couple of 5-star reviews as a result of last week's conversation about reviews. If you like the pod, we love your 5-star reviews. Thank you. But this is where we reflect on what we got right or wrong. And this week, we had a very emotional teenager who spoke with you. What's your I'll Do Better Tomorrow?
One of our daughters has been on school camp, which doesn't leave too many daughters to choose from.
So it was the one that was on school camp. There we go.
But she rang me on day 2. And she doesn't usually ring me from camp, so I knew that something was up straight away. But she was a little bit chirpy, and I kind of just, answered her questions. But as the conversation continued, I noticed a definite shift in her mood and her demeanour. And she said, "Mum, I'm just having a really hard time." And so then she started to share some of the struggles that she was having. And in my heart, I was kind of getting a little bit of anxiety because I know that this experience for her is challenging. She's on a school camp with multiple campuses coming together. She's the only kid from her campus. She has no teachers from her campus there.
So when you think about relatedness as a basic psychological need, she's in an environment where relatedness needs are not going to be easily supported because there are no relationships. Really tricky. And if she can't gel, then it makes it even harder to be on that camp. This is why we make such a big deal about these basic psychological needs. Need support, need satisfaction, increases well-being and motivation. Need frustration, need thwarting, reduces motivation and well-being.
She loves the work that she's doing, but it's also stretching her physically. She's getting up at about 3:30 each morning so that she can muck out stables and work with horses, and it's all day. Like, she's relentless all day. And so she continued to get more and more worked up as she shared things with me. And then all of a sudden there was just this shift, and she said, "Mum, I know I'm going to be okay. I've got through harder things than this." She said, "I just needed to hear your voice today." And I'm just so proud of this kid. But what it also helped me recognize is that I don't actually have to have all the answers. She just needed to know. Like, the last thing she said to me is, "Thanks for picking up." That was the gold standard for Tuesday, that I picked up the phone. I didn't say anything wise. I didn't make anything better.
Didn't do any emotion coaching, didn't do any gentle parenting, didn't do any problem solving.
I just listened. I literally just listened. And that was enough.
It's a great take-home message. After the break, the magic milestone that everybody should celebrate, but nobody's thought of before. We made it happen this week. I'll tell you more in just a sec.
You know you're extra, right?
You know I am extra. So here's the details. Thanks so much for hanging in there while we do our I'll Do Better Tomorrow. My I'll Do Better Tomorrow is not so much about parenting. It's about husbanding and wifing. It's about being a strong couple. This is something that we talk about on the pod from time to time, and I just don't think it gets enough emphasis. We get so worried about the kids, sometimes we forget the relationship that matters most, which is if you're fortunate enough to be in a married or partnered relationship, it's the relationship that you share with your significant other. So here's the background. Earlier this year, as we were coming up to our 27th anniversary, I started playing around with the numbers in my head. I'm like, 27 years, 365 days. I did some quick sums and I was like, that sounds like it's got to be in the 9,000s. It might even be getting close to 10,000 days. And so I jumped into AI because I wasn't going to do the calculations and work out the leap years. And I put our wedding date in, and I put that date in. And I said, how many days has it been? Turns out it had been 9,800 and something days. My math was good. And then I thought, you know what? 10,000 days is a big deal. I wonder what date that will be. And this week we had our 10,000 day wedding anniversary. We've been married for 10,000 days. One of the days this week, it was on Tuesday. And so I booked us a special event. You and I went hot air ballooning and had how's this? Let's celebrate the day by waking up at 4:30, driving for an hour in the freezing cold, climbing into a hot air balloon with a bunch of strangers. It was great. Sunshine Coast Ballooning. I'm giving them a plug. They didn't pay for it. It's not a sponsored post or anything, but we just had such a great morning. It was serene. It was calm. I would say it was quite blissful.
Obviously, you have the burst of hot air going up, and so that creates noise. But outside of that, I was actually blown away at
literally, you were in a balloon. You were blown away. I love it. See what you did there? It didn't even mean it.
It was so quiet.
Yeah.
It was so quiet. And I didn't expect it to be so smooth.
Yes. Because you're just going with the wind. So you don't feel it. You're just moving, and it doesn't feel like if you weren't watching, you wouldn't know you were moving.
No. No, and there was no movement.
So it was a real treat. But the main thing that I want to emphasize is if you want to have a strong family, if you want to have happy kids, having a great relationship with your husband, wife, partner, spouse, it makes a huge difference. And finding ways to celebrate one another and to celebrate the relationship that you share is wonderful. It's just such a great thing.
And find crazy ways to make an excuse to celebrate.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we will have a celebration for the 10,743rd day as well, just because it's really nice to do that stuff. Oh, that's a couple of years away. I think we should do it sooner than that. My I'll do better tomorrow is how can you celebrate one another? It doesn't have to be hot air ballooning. It doesn't even have to be expensive. It could be a flower that you pick out of the garden on the way in the door. It might be picking up I guess I'm speaking to the men. Maybe women like to pick up their men as well. I don't know. It might be picking up your partner and swinging them around the room. Something that we haven't done for ages.
Dancing in the kitchen.
Dancing in the kitchen, yeah.
Or you could make me dinner.
Tonight. That's a deal. Anyway, that's my I'll do better tomorrow. Find ways to celebrate and just love. Love and show that you love your husband, wife, spouse, partner. It was a real treat to do that. I do have other I'll do better tomorrows about our kids, and I kind of want to share them, but I'm going to get in trouble for going for too long by the kids who say that if we talk too much, it gets us in trouble. But they do like hearing their names. Yeah. So I'm going to share two really quick stories in 30 seconds or less. I know you're pulling a face at me, but I'm going to do it anyway. My podcast, my rules. The same daughter, I rang her the next day, and she had a little cry with me as well, and then said, "But I've got it." And again, I didn't have any solutions. I was like, okay, 48 hours to go. I believe in you. You got this. And another one of our daughters who was having a really rough time before an exam. I don't know if I got this one right. I said, you just have to go. Toughen up. It's futile to argue with it. Stop being a worrywart. Stop being anxious. I don't care if you get 0. It actually doesn't matter. You just need to go and do the exam. And then the school told her that she didn't have to do it. So I just looked like the big bad parent. Anyway, take home message. Love, don't have to have all the answers. Even if you do have answers, you're probably going to be wrong.
You're painting this beautiful picture. I just love it.
But this is life. I'm actually saying it to highlight we're the parenting experts, right? I've written the books. We've done all this stuff for the last 25 years with our own kids. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to love each other. I love those kids, and I was there for them to have the conversations. I'm crazy about you, absolutely mad about you, and made a celebration of an anniversary that I've never heard anyone else talk about their 10,000th day. We should wrap this up. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Mim Hammonds provides admin research and additional support. And if you'd like more resources to make your family happier, you can find them all at happyfamilies.com.au. Have a great weekend. Find ways to connect, find ways to love, and we'll talk to you again on Monday.